The shooter, who killed 2 Catholic school students and wounded more than a dozen youngsters, sitting in the pews of that Minneapolis church, Annunciation Church, well, he once attended the same school and was quote-unquote obsessed with the idea of killing children.
What up, everybody, y'all? Welcome to another episode of Uncommon Nonsense with your boy, OG Big Meaty, man. On today's show, y'all, we got shocking new details about the shooter and why he did the shooting. And of course, y'all, we got these liberals and these Republicans debating on who's to blame. We're going to listen to both sides, y'all, and we're going to try to make it make some sense, y'all. All that on today's episode. Let's get to it.
As we learn more about the shooter and their motive.
The coward that shot these victims took his own life in the rear of the church. That coward has been identified as 23-year-old Robin Westman. No prior criminal history. As to the weapons used to perpetrate this horrific attack, there was a rifle, a shotgun, and a pistol. All three had been lawfully purchased by the shooter. At this stage, we believe that the shooter had acted alone. We are also aware of a manifesto that the shooter had timed to be released on YouTube.
Learning more information about the suspected gunman, as you also see this, a post from Brooke Taylor here saying sources confirmed to Fox the Minneapolis shooter has been identified as a 23-year-old Robin Westman. According to court docs, at 17 years old, Robert Westman formerly had his legal name changed to Robin because docs state the minor child identifies as female and wants her name to reflect the identification. The application for the name change of a minor was filed by the mother, and a court granted the request in 2020. And we're getting new images right now of that Robin Westman obtained by Fox here on Live and Now from Fox as we're learning more information about this. The police chief in Minnesota, Brian O'Hara, said there was a manifesto potentially on YouTube. They are looking into that. Investigators are trying to dive into that. There is no motive at this point. At the last update, they did say they obtained several warrants to look into some of the residences of this individual. We also heard from our Fox 9 team that this individual, Robin Westman's mother, may have worked at this Catholic school in recent years. So obviously a lot of potential connections there. So new information coming in about this.
Now, come on, y'all. Like this is gonna be a tough one. Seriously, y'all, this is gonna be a tough one to unpack. For so many reasons, y'all. For so many reasons, because for one, it's absolutely senseless. And it's absolutely crazy to me that shit like this is continuously happening to our kids. And even what's more frustrating about it is the fact that we have these political leaders, man, these two partisan groups of people, man, who both disagree on what caused this incident. Both parties are blaming the other. Both parties are saying, I told you so. Look, he was a transsexual. Look, he hated Trump. Look, so all that victim standings y'all do, look what y'all do. Y'all encourage mental illness. This is what the conservatives are saying about the situation. The Republicans are saying, did you see the guy arsenal? He had an assault weapon. He had a shotgun. He had a handgun. Clearly, this is a Second Amendment issue. Clearly, he shouldn't have access to these guns. And clearly, this guy is suffering from mental illness. Like, I don't understand why these politicians, for something to be this tragic, y'all, it just rubs me in the wrong way, man, to see that babies got to lose their lives, man. That these kids who survived this but suffered from this, man, got to live with this for the rest of their lives, man. And for our politicians to politicize this. You have the liberals screaming up and down, man, this is you have the liberals screaming up and down, this is gun issues. You have the conservatives screaming up and down, this is a mental illness issue. If your people ever thought at any point of y'all bipartisanship that maybe both things are true, maybe for sure, this brother was suffering, or sister, I don't know how he identifies, was suffering from mental illness. No question, Someone suffering for that level of, no one suffering from that level of mental illness should have access to that type of armory, to that type of arsenal. No one who's suffering from that type of mental illness should have access to that type of arsenal. Both things are true. Now, what happens is, since neither one of them can acknowledge that both things can be true, they're going to stay in disagreement. So you guys know what's going to happen. Absolutely nothing's going to get done about this. You know what's going to happen? I'm going to be sitting here making another blog telling y'all how tragic and heart-wrenching this blog is. I don't even know why everybody's talking about this in a partisan way. These are babies. They don't identify as Democrat or Republican, man. They just kids. They just going to church, going to school, man, playing with their friends, excited to see their friends, man. And now they're dead or traumatized for the rest of their lives, like even the ones who survived. This is going to have a traumatic effect in their lives. Like, kids shouldn't have to go through this, man. It shouldn't be no partisan issue, man. But of course, these little parties, but of course, these politicians of ours is going to most definitely make this a partisan issue. They're most definitely going to take this tragedy and politicize it. And you know who's going to help them do it? Yep, you guessed it. Liberal legacy goddamn media. Because it hasn't even been a week. And Abby Phillips got a panel politicizing this tragedy. And it's only by the grace of God and Scott Jennings that there was somebody on this panel who was willing to make some sense, y'all.
Negative reaction to the mayor's statements today. I think it's wrong, frankly, to vilify or attack people of faith. You said thoughts and prayers ring hollow. I think thoughts and prayers are the most solid on days of tragedy for people who live their faith every
brother.
day. And I think on a day like today, particularly in a church community, there are probably people praying harder for comfort today than they have ever prayed in their life. And so I think, and I've heard others on the left today go down this line of attack against people of faith, sort of denigrating the idea that they might want to pray today. And so I think his statements were misguided. The thing that struck me today, Abby, truthfully, when I was watching this unfold, was that the two little ones that died were 8 and 10. I have 7 and 9. Those are my two youngest. They turn 8 and 10 in a few days. And we could probably sit here and argue out all the issues of faith and transgenderism and all the other things that have been raised today, but it strikes me that none of us ever want to know the terror and the absolute empty hole that will never be filled that those parents of the 8 and 10-year-old are going to feel. And I just thought maybe tonight the most useful thing any of us can do would take 10 seconds and just sit quietly and be still and be quiet and think about those families, because they are never going to be the same, no matter what we say.
Now, come on, my fellow people. You got a phone call saying that your kids was attacked while at school. Can you imagine? You can't imagine. You can't imagine. So I don't want you politicians sitting on here. I don't care if you liberal or conservative. I don't want you neocons and none of you fools sitting on here trying to politicize this goddamn tragedy, man. Let's make it make some sense. If you're going to get on camera, if you're going to get on mic and talk about this shit, let's talk about this shit making some sense. Because these babies is gone. These two little angels are gone. Let's continue this clip, yeah.
I think prayers are important, Scott, but I think people want more than prayers at this point. They're really angry. What are we doing in government? What are we doing in federal government that seems to be pulling back from gun violence prevention, from community safety, and so on? So yes, prayer is important. I pray all the time. I'm praying for those families. But what are we going to do after the prayers? How are we going to come together as a society, as politicians, bipartisan action to be able to protect children?
Well said, brother. Well said. Well said.
Children, how long will we allow them to be collateral damage due to our ideological difference?
This is all I'm saying. You have two people on this panel making sense. Now watch these two lunatic liberals insert politics into Scott and Jeff come into agreement that this is a tragedy that needs to be addressed from all angles. Watch these liberal losers, y'all. Watch.
It's a good question, Scott. What happens after? I mean, what should happen now to stop this from your perspective as a Republican?
Sure. Well, I think
as a Republican. So you want my perspective as a Republican? I can't give you my perspective as a Republican when we're talking about somebody's kids. I can give you my perspective as a father now. I can give you my perspective as a brother, as an uncle, as a neighbor, as a friend, as a fellow American. I can give you my perspective. Don't talk to me about my perspective as a politician or my perspective on politics in the wake of this tragedy. Are you people insane? We should be talking about solutions, not pointing a finger. But I digress, y'all. Because Scott, like always, gonna make it make some sense, y'all.
I think the first question you have to ask is, why did it happen? I don't think it happened because of guns. I think it happened because somebody who was clearly suffering from severe mental illness
Had access to weapons that would allow them to carry out a terrible shooting.
And the mental illness was encouraged.
But Scott, what about
encouraged? See, I'm gonna pause for a second. I know y'all hate when I do this, but I just want to pause for a second because I had a thought earlier based on this clip that I just seen when Scott Jennings said that mental illness was encouraged. Like, I want people to understand, like, when you have a huge political party in our country, y'all, advocating on behalf of victims. So therefore, they're lobbying victimhood. So everything they think, could say, or do is going to be them telling you how much of a victim you are. So could somebody make this make some sense? Because I'm sure if there was any type of behavioral science around this, I guarantee you that this point will be proven. I guarantee you, man, that wherever you find a victim psyche, you're going to find a victimizer. There is nobody in this world more susceptible to violence than the person who perceives himself or herself as the victim. If I'm the victim, I'm not doing wrong. I'm getting even. If I'm the victim, I'm not being held accountable for this. You guys deserve this. You guys deserve this. And it's that type of mental illness, y'all, that translates into this type of tragedy. And it's a shame that one of our most powerful political parties here in America advocates for that line of thinking. So the Republicans have a point. We need to address the mental illness. We need to address the encouragement of this mental illness. But Abby has a point too. Because even if we address this level of mental illness, even if we create programs or create community support systems where people are okay with being mentally ill, where it's not so, frowned upon and all that crap, when people can be all right with being sick in the head, with being a little broke, because if you're a little broke, it's all right. That's how you get fixed. You got to admit that you broke, then you can get to the repairs. Like, it's okay. We don't want to keep stigmatizing mental illness. We don't want to keep stigmatizing transsexualness or LGBT. Ain't none of that. We don't want to keep stigmatizing none of that. That is not what we're talking about here. We're talking about kids being unalived, y'all. Both both of you guys have a great point, and this is a great bipartisan initiative. Mental illness, and let's address this excessive amount of access to arsenals. I think Democrats and Republicans come together and make that make sense. But will they? No, not in the wake, not even in the wake of this, because they didn't do nothing in Sandy Hook. They didn't do nothing, a few months ago in Texas. They don't. All right. Let's go. Let's finish this.
People who don't have mental illness.
I don't think we can tiptoe around this issue. And when you look at the messages that were written in some of the materials and on the weapons that we've seen, I mean, this person obviously was in a dark place.
Obviously.
And I want to know,
obviously.
I'm not sure the government is in that person's life enough to know, but his parents are.
But what
and his
about,
family is.
Scott, what about people who don't have mental illness? We have a huge gun violence issue here in the United States. We lead in gun violence.
But the issue today is quite obviously mental illness. And
mental illness is a cop-out for today, which is also...
See, this is how ridiculous. This is why can't shit get done. This dude's gonna say mental illness is a cop-out. So in order for him to stay on message, he's willing to ignore truths and facts that could possibly prevent tragedies like this from ever happening again. Brother, because I don't think it's no secret. I don't have to be a psychologist to know that this shit involves mental illness and excessive access to guns. I know both these things are true.
Why I believe that, I love how the GOP believes that that's God's only party, right? But you have people of faith on both sides.
I don't believe that. We're all God's children, McCarty.
There are people of faith on both sides who are giving their prayers, but who also believe that action is required, because you asked the question. What happens after the prayers? Well, in this country, what happens after the prayers is that there's another shooting. And the problem is, it's the damn guns.
What I mean, guys? See what I mean? You see how the liberal is saying, well, ignore mental illness. We finna make this about guns. And then you hear how Scott Jennings saying, well, this is about mental illness. It has nothing to do with guns. Idiots. It has everything to do with both. Why does it have to be an either or when it's both? It's just crazy how demonic these people is. Like they will hijack a tragedy like this for political. Man, it is crazy how these people think. They will hijack a tragedy like this, man, to advance their political agenda. But what I noticed about this tragedy that conservative thought, while still biased, is a little bit more commonsensical to me. Like when you hear the conservatives talk about this tragedy, they address it as a tragedy. It's these liberals. And I hate to be partisan right now on this episode. It's these liberals, y'all. Like, look at this. Look at this liberal journalists, y'all. Like, just look at the propaganda, y'all. Look at the propaganda that's coming up behind this tragedy, y'all. Check it out.
This is a tough one. Having your child killed while they are sitting in a pew for a morning prayer service is not what any parent should have to worry about. And I have felt a mixture of anger and a lot of anger and emotional exhaustion about this today, as I'm sure many of you have, because we have been here so many times. And yet again, like clockwork, half of the politicians in our country have little more to offer than thoughts and prayers. That is all they are offering. Join all of us in praying for the victims was Vice President J.D. Vance's response today. That's what he said. That's it. Please join me in praying for everyone involved, Trump wrote. We have seen this play out over and over again. There is a shooting, then come the thoughts and prayers, and then comes the attempt to shift the focus. This is what always happens. You're going to start seeing narratives. You're already seeing them. They're already out there about how the shooter was trans. You're going to see narratives about how the shooter appeared to be anti-Trump and anti-Semitic and clearly was in the midst of a mental health crisis. There's no question about that. But this is the only country where shootings like this one happen this often. The United States not only has the highest rate of gun violence of any country in the world, it's become a leading cause of death for young people and teenagers in this country. That should make everybody angry. Weaponizing the shooter's identity is meant to distract from what matters. That is what they are doing, trying to distract from what matters. Here's what matters. Today's shooter bought the rifle, handgun, and shotgun they used to do what they did today legally. We live in a country with more guns than people, where there are not universal background checks, there are not bans on assault weapons, and it is far too easy to buy a gun. It's the guns, everyone. It's not really a secret.
Seriously, guys, it's this level of lunacy that drives me up the wall about these liberals. Like, so you're going to start this whole rant with, like, it's not about politics. It's about these kids. It's about these kids. We tired of politicians offering nothing but prayer and condolences. We need action. We need action. And then you're going to insert politics right into it and be like, well, it's not about identity. It's not about because he's trans, he's this and this, y'all. It's about guns. It's not about mental illness or none of this. It's about guns. Like, y'all. So with you liberals, so you liberals are that loony. So you liberals are that loony that what y'all basically trying to tell us that a gun, an assault rifle, can get up, walk down the street, load itself, walk to these kids' school, shooting these babies. Is that what you liberals want us to believe? That it's the gun's fault? That's about as absurd as that scenario I just gave you. Really, a gun needs to be fired to cause harm. So you mean to tell me we shall address the guns and not the perpetrator who's firing the gun? We shouldn't focus on this simply because this guy was a trans guy. If he was a conservative, if this guy would have had a conservative manifesto, oh my God, we got to address these conservative mental ill Americans. You guys would have killed. So now you guys, it's just guns. It's not mental illness, so a gun can shoot itself. No, we're never going to hold the person responsible who shot the gun. Like, that is ridiculous. I'm keep trying to tell y'all both things can be true, y'all. And the only way we going to be able to fix this, if any of you fools can just acknowledge that both of those things need to be addressed. Gun accessibility to mental ill people, and mental illness need to be addressed in a for real way in this country of ours, because a whole bunch of us suffers from it. Both of those things are true. Now, if we're just not going to be praying, now we're just not going to be praying and sending condolences. If we're going to actually, for once, take action, this is the action that need to be taken. For these things led to the tragedy. We have to address both. And then it shouldn't even be up for debate, man. It's absolutely 100% ironic to me, man, how adult leaders can lack the courage and the wherewithal to do what's right. It's absolutely irritating as hell to me, because now our kids have to be our heroes. This is sad. And in this incident, that was the case, y'all. Let me show y'all this clip.
So many stories are now emerging of the panicked moments inside that church and also the bravery of everyone who was inside that church as well. We're joined now by 13-year-old Javen Willis. He's an 8th grader at Annunciation. He's with us along with his mother, Melissa. Javen, let me start with you. I know you've been at Annunciation for a number of years now. You're in Mass yesterday with your buddy, and all of a sudden you hear those shots ring out. What did you do then, Javen?
Well, right when I heard the shots, I knew something was off. I didn't think that they would have, a lot of my classmates thought it was confetti and fireworks, but I didn't think they would have that during the middle of the church service. So honestly, it was just, at that point, I was like, I want to try to keep everybody as safe as possible. So I told me and my 2 buddies to get down and to get under the pew. And right when I told them that, it was like a state of shock for me, and I knew that I had to try to keep as many people around me as I could safe.
While you're down there on the floor, keeping yourself safe, keeping your buddies safe, what was going through your mind?
Well, right when it happened, I dropped down under the pew, like I said, and I prayed. I said my few prayers, and then I realized, like, I can't just sit here and focus on myself, knowing that with God on my side, I would be fine. So I tried to just go and help out my fellow classmates, try to keep them calm and safe and let them know that they'll be okay.
Like, seriously, y'all. That shit bring you to tears, man. Look at this 13-year-old baby, man. Being a hero, man. Saving his fellow students. You think he in there trying to pick out who's white, who's black, who's trans, who's gay, who's straight, who's boy, who's girl? Man, that's crazy, man. That our kids gotta be our new hero, man. That's crazy. We no longer a hero to our kids, man. That's sad. That's sad. Let's finish this out, y'all.
You're a young man of great faith. I understand that you were just baptized last week, and you saw your boy there, and you were able to put your arms around him for the first time. What'd you say?
Yeah. I just cried. I just thanked God and cried and held him. And,
thank God.
You know, just thankfully I was one of the ones who did get to see my kid when I got there.
You've got a special young man there too, by the way. But Javen, I heard as you were leaving the church, you were fist bumping the officers and thanking them on the way out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Listen to his response.
I didn't want to just sit there and think about it, so I just thanked the officers, because without them, who knows how much worse this could have been. It was bad in general, but it could have been way worse than that if they didn't show up when they did.
Donald Trump, don't call that boy to the White House, man, and get that little boy, man, some type of recognition, man, for his calmness and his courage, man, in that traumatic ass situation, man. Most adults couldn't behave in that valor. Most adults don't even have that type of valor. Outstanding young man, and you deserve recognition. And one of the students, another one of the students, y'all.
Shots fired, and then we kind of like got under the pews. It kind of, they shot through the stained glass windows, I think, and it was really scary. And I just ran under the pew, and then I covered my head. My friend like saved me though, because he laid on top of me, but he got hit. He went to the hospital. I was like 2 seats away from the stained glass windows. So they were like, the shots were like right next to me.
Like, come on, y'all. Come on, y'all. Come on, our leaders. Come on, Democrats, Republicans, man. Y'all can't feel that. I mean, you guys can't, like, get inspired by hearing what these babies went through. That day, them kids just went to school, man. them kids just went to school, man, to learn and play with their friends, man, and they here to experience that. And you people can't empathize, or you people can't be inspired to take action off of this? If you people can't feel nothing from this, then you people don't never need to be in no position of leadership, especially not in these United States of America, y'all. Stop politicizing this shit, y'all. It's a tragedy, and it's a tragedy for everybody involved. And that includes the trans shooter, the kids that got shot, the kids that was in there that didn't get shot. Everybody has to suffer. And you people have the power to do it. The question is, do y'all got the wherewithal? Do you people really care enough? We'll see. We'll see. Because I got a podcast now. So I'm holding you people accountable. Every chance I get, I wouldn't give a fuck if I only had 16 views. I'm calling it how I see it, man. You people are out here destroying people and don't give a F about it. But us people down here in middle America, we waking up. So y'all better be aware. Well, anyway, y'all, I digress from that, man. I'm sorry, man. That was a very emotional podcast, y'all. It's a hard one. So I was trying to manage my sadness and my madness and still try to make some sense out of this. So forgive me, y'all. But I guess I'm going to end it right here, y'all, man. If y'all found any value in this video, man, y'all know your boy, man. I always do your boy, man, a good favor, man, to hit that like button and subscribe with your boy, man. If y'all do that, man, I'm most definitely, man, be grateful, man. So I'm out of here, y'all. Y'all know your boy motto, man. Stay out your body, y'all. Reside in your spirit. It's where your potential at, man. Until next time, I'm out. Peace, my beloveds.